Subscribe now.
Well, hello, you beautiful people of YouTube. Welcome back to Holland Woodworks. Today, we're going to make another passive speaker. This one's going to be a little bit different design. I've made a couple of these already. I call these speakers the Demon Rockers. And today, this one is going to be dedicated in honor of the OG Demon Rocker himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Ozzy Osbourne. Rest in peace, buddy.
What? What's that? What's with the ball?
Ozzy?
Holy shit.
Okay, so what we're going to start off with. Actually, first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to address the elephant in the room. Why the hell am I wearing a black glove? When I was making the first Demon Rocker, the demon got me. So I was drilling a test hole in a piece of walnut scrap wood, and you'll see at the end of this video I turn little feet on this. I wanted to drill a reference hole in this piece of walnut to make sure that the feet that I was drilling, or the tenon I was drilling on these feet, was going to be the right size. I had a hold of the scrap of walnut like this, like an idiot, drilling, and because I wasn't in my head, right, I was going, I'm not going to drill through this thing, so it'll be all right. And this sucker right here, this exact drill bit, I've cleaned it off since because there was a lot of pieces of me on there. So, but anyways, I was drilling a hole in a scrap piece of wood like so, and it created a thread instead of the normal scraping action like you would expect a drill to do. It actually, the bottom, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch created a thread. So it was like a bolt going through a nut, and the drill drove it through the wood and ultimately through my hand, right about there. I can tell because it's still swollen and I've got a big bump there. So I actually just got back from the orthopedic, and I've got this knuckle on my middle finger, just this knuckle, a little bit above and a little bit below, but this side's fine. Just this knuckle and this side of this knuckle is numb. Can't feel anything right there. So she said I probably nicked a nerve, could be fine, could come back on its own because nerves heal very slowly apparently. She said worst case scenario, if it doesn't, if it stays numb, I could potentially get hand surgery to get it fixed. But I asked her, I said, you know, hell, I mean, is that the worst case scenario? Because I can still move my hand, right? Still have full mobility. I can live with a half numb knuckle the rest of my life, that won't bother me. And she said, yeah, absolutely. So sounds like I got pretty lucky. She said if I hit here, she said if I would have hit here, we would have been having an entirely different conversation. And apparently if I would have hit this, I probably would have not had use of these 3 fingers. At least without some type of correcting surgery. So got lucky, learn from my mistakes. Don't be an idiot. Don't hold wood in your hand like this and drill a hole in it. It's stupid. I'm not gonna do it again. Maybe. Let's make this demon speaker. Okay, so let's find center on this puppy. This demon speaker is being made at the request of one Major Douglas Keith of Rush County, Indiana. Doug's a good friend of mine. Doug is running for sheriff in Rush County along with Matthew Hedrick and Brent Horton. Election's going to be this year, so fun and exciting times. I'm good friends with all 3 of those guys. But after I posted the Demon Rocker that sent me to the ER, Douglas mentioned that he would love to have one, so this is going to be Doug's. So if you live in Rush County, Indiana, and you're watching this video, this is me, Adam Holland, telling you, go vote. Primaries are in May. I hope that's right. I think it's right. May. All 3 of these guys are running on the Republican ticket. So make sure you register Republican, whether you are Republican or not, because if you know, living in Rush County, in the primaries, if you don't register as Republican, well, you're not going to vote for anybody. There's not going to be anybody to vote for hardly. So vote for the sheriff of Rush County. That's my political speech. I'm not going to campaign for any one of those guys. I like them all. I think they're all going to be great. That's as far as my 2 cents go in the public eye. So it is important. Make sure you go out and vote. Didn't want to put my left hand underneath that, so I modified it slightly. Lock it. Make sure we're locked in there. Nice and firm and tight and good and happy. Got my safety glasses on. I do have some bark, so I should probably be wearing my face shield, but I'm not gonna. Bring this up to speed. Good shape there. See if we can get past it. Actually, not too bad right there. About 877. I'm going to use my U-shaped bowl gouge from Thompson Lathe tools. Very, very, very nice tools here. This is the 5/8 U bowl gouge. The idea was to make it look kind of like a metal helmet, because this is the demon rocker, so demon, death metal, heavy metal, you know. So kind of the idea behind it was kind of a metal helmet, and then I leave quite a bit of wood down here at the bottom. So this much of it is solid wood, so it's quite bottom heavy. So when I put it on a surface, instead of sitting on the flat spot, it rocks up. It wants to rock up like this. So that allows me to put 2 little feet up here at the top and let it rock back and rest on those feet. So you get a nice projection angle, which I think is nice for projecting the music into the room anyway. But it also allows you to create 2 little horns on the demon rocker's head. And it is just so fitting that the first demon rocker that I made, the first song I played in it was War Pigs by Black Sabbath. So like I said, this one's gonna be dedicated to the Ozman himself, because that's the type of music you should play in a demon rocker, I think. Play whatever you want, but in my opinion. Get all this bark off, make a tenon. We're gonna flip it around and do the hollowing, so that way we can gauge exactly how much wood we've got where, because when we go inside, we're gonna be making a parabola inside as well, but we wanna be careful because it becomes very easy when you're making this shape. It becomes very easy to make the walls super thin right here, and you get a little too thin and you got to throw it away and start over. So I like to get a rough shape on the outside, go inside and hollow it, make sure I know exactly how much room I've got on the walls to take away, go back outside, finish the outside shape. And there's a couple other things that I do in a different order than your typical turning, and I'll show you why when we get there, just to make your life a lot easier on the back side of making this thing. That feels smooth. We got most of it off. We can clean all that up later. Perfect. Okay, so let's start with the foot. We're gonna have to move the tail center out of the way. We can crank up the speed a little bit. I'm at 1300 RPMs. Make sure we get a nice flat shoulder on the back side. So I want to use my spindle gouge. A nice clean shoulder back there for reference. This could be difficult. Without a left hand, but we got it. Like I said, for now we're not worried about super clean cuts. We're not worried about the final shape. It's not quite a cylinder. It is slanted inward, but not anywhere close to what it's going to be when we're done. That's okay for now. Trying to do this one-handed into end grain is not super easy, but we're getting there. And a quick shout out to Tomislav Tomacek for his YouTube videos on how to sharpen drill bits, because I've been using this drill bit as a depth gauge for a long time. Made this tiny little handle for it. I don't know, I just like it. So I tried to sharpen it on my own without knowing what the heck I was doing, and I flubbed it up something awful. And I went back and watched, and Tomislav has a video specifically on how to sharpen and also how to reshape drill bits that are flubbed up. So if you have that issue like I did, make sure you go check out that video. It's very informative and it works well, as you can see. I am purely 100% taught on YouTube, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to shout out my favorite channels here because these guys are great and they definitely deserve a shout out. In order from most to least of what I've learned on making anything on a wood lathe. Number 1, Richard Raffin. Number 2, Tomislav Tomacek. Number 3, good guy out of the Netherlands, Ronald Can. And number 4 is Gary. His YouTube channel is the Papa 1947. Those 4 guys, fantastic. If you're looking to get into wood turning, I'm glad you came here. I've got some stuff for you to learn, but I'll tell you what, if you want to really know how to wood turn, go check out those 4 guys in that order. I'll tell you, the reason why I put Gary, the Papa 1947, number 4, is because he doesn't talk so much about the technique of wood turning. He has some really, really cool and interesting things that a lot of people, don't have on YouTube channels, like segmented turning. Those first 3 guys, I've never seen them do segmented turning. Doesn't mean they can't or they don't, but I just haven't seen it. Segmented turning, some really cool designs, some interesting stuff. So that's the reason why Gary's number 4. Those top 3, as far as learning how to turn, they're all pretty damn close. Great people to go watch to learn how to do this. So that little infomercial for 4 guys I've never met in my life before. Anyway, we'll get back to, now we're going to hollow this out. And I'll tell you one thing, the easiest way that I personally have come across for hollowing out in grain anything is carbide. I don't use carbide for a whole heck of a lot, but I'll use it for hollowing out in grain, almost want to say 10 times out of 10, but definitely for hogging out the in grain, the rough work, 100% of the time I'll be using carbide. I will switch to a scraper to clean up the inside a little bit. But since we are in grain, we don't want to just try to force our way down through the center of it. We want to start in the center. I usually start with my tool, I mean this is exaggerated, but with my tool angled this way, about like this, grab that little corner in there, and then I peel away to the left, to the outside, and just take it nice and slow and easy. Because I'll tell you what, more than a few times I've tried to hollow out in grain straight like this, or with a bowl gouge like you would traditionally, or many other ways, and it's a fight. And you're going to walk away sweaty, and you're going to walk away tired. This doesn't necessarily make it easy, but it sure as hell makes it easier. So that's my 2 cents. Let me show you what I mean. You just want to make sure your tool rest is at the proper height to allow for that. So usually what I like is when I put it in there at level with bed lays, that tool is pretty much where I want to cut. So I can enter a little bit low and then come back up to grab my cut. And now as we get further and further down, since we're going to have that parabola shape, we got to remember that while we're hollowing this out. So I left quite a bit of room out here. I'm going to end up taking a lot of this off, but I'm about halfway through my depth now, so I really need to start focusing on kind of a triangle shape in there. It's going to be a rounded triangle. I'm not going to get that smooth shape with this tool, but I can start making steps in. Now I don't feel that hole anymore, so we're gonna stop and bend over and take a look in there and see if we've reached the bottom of our depth hole. And we've got a little bit left, it looks like, just the tip of the drill bit. So we'll give it a couple more little passes. Okay, now we're there. So now I'm going to come up and start setting my final dimension out here. And then we're going to go in with the round carbide to just clean it all up. So now all we're doing is dragging over the points of the steps. So we got the little steps in there like that, and we're just pulling this carbide tip down at an angle to smooth out those steps out. A little bit of science here for you, hopefully you don't mind. I am a science guy, not Bill Nye, but I am a science guy. So as we're making a passive speaker, the most important thing is to have that smooth transition, so that way when the sound waves are bouncing off the walls, they're bouncing further and further apart, okay? So you're getting the amplification of the sound waves inside of this. That's how this works without any electronics or anything. It's just the sounds bouncing off the walls of this as they get bigger. The way you can think about it is if you're in a big empty cave, a lot of empty space and walls around you, when you shout, you get that echo. That's the exaggerated, obviously, but the sound going to the walls and then traveling back to you. So you're getting multiple, you're getting reverb, right? And you're getting that sound multiplied. Same thing's happening here. They're bouncing off the walls, coming back, bouncing, 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 bouncing. So you get more of a sound. It's a small amount, so it doesn't have the distortion that you do in a cave where it's hello, 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 hello. It's a smaller amount, so it's happening faster, and here it just sounds louder. Now when you make these, and your customers ask you, how the hell does that work? You can tell them. Okay, so we still got some pretty good lumps in here. I want to smooth out the bottom a little bit more, so we've got some more passes to make with that round carbide. Since it's wood turners, we usually deal with big, like U-shaped bottoms or insides. Definitely not these parabola shapes very often. I like to mark two spots. So I like to mark where I feel like it really starts to get thick enough that I can start taking some serious material off the top. Start to take some, which for me is going to be right there. And then down to the bottom. So the bottom, take your pencil, put it all the way in there. Put your thumbnail on the point where, when it's in the bottom, you put your thumbnail right there where it meets the rim of the bowl or whatever you're working on. Then you come up here and put your thumbnail on top, rotate that pencil up. There's the bottom. So that's where the wood, that's where the hollowing stops. That point's important to know, and this mark. So this just gives you a good idea of where you can start your shape. Where you can start your shape, like really start your shape. So out here I'm just going to clean this up. I'm not going to be taking a whole lot of material off. But here I can start my shape, and then here I'm safe. I know I'm safe no matter what. One other thing I want to know is about how much material I've got towards the bottom there. So halfway through I've got the width of my finger, and then down towards the very bottom I've got a finger and a half. And up here you can see that's about as thin as we want to get. So that's where we can start making our shape as we go. V-shaped bowl gouge, 5/8 of an inch. Okay, so you can see about how much I took off there. Nice slow arc in. Let's grab our calipers, make sure we didn't take too much off anywhere, just so we're extra careful. So we're still over a finger width here, about a 3/4 of a finger width here, and then still, like I say, not really touching that at all. You can see my line still there, so we're not cutting any of that away. So we still got a little room to work, I would say through here if we wanted to. If we don't like that shape, we can adjust. Right now, I think it looks okay, but we may come back and revisit that once we get this. So now, past this line, we're good. We're golden. We got solid wood underneath there, past this line. So don't think it starts here, because that's the ground zero. But once we get past that, we're solid. This is where finger at him. I'm going to put away the big gouge here in a moment. Because we're just running out of room. And grab my spindle gouge. Now, another important thing, so I told you earlier there's going to be a little trick I was going to teach you at the end too. We're not going to separate this. As a matter of fact, we want at this point to leave a fairly substantial amount of wood here. I'm just giving it a shape is all. I'm not trying to get down to where I'm going to start parting yet. That's probably good enough for now. So at this point you can see the general shape taking place. Probably going to remove a little bit in here to give it a little bit more sloping. I don't know, in my head that's more medieval metal helmety. There's a little bit more slope here instead of a sudden curve. So I've got plenty of wood there to do it with. That's fine. I'm happy with that. What I want to do now is make sure that I'm happy with this out here, because once we start making this small, out here is going to be tough, because you're going to get a lot more less wood holding it in there, so a lot more movement out on the extremities. So I'm going to go back with my scraper. Now we're going to just refine this shape. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the hole that our cell phones are going to go into. So once again, we need our line. We need our line back for the base. Right about there. And then I happen to know that my camera is about the width of my pinky, or my camera, my phone. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna head over to the bandsaw. And yes, I said bandsaw, and I know the ramifications of that. Oh, I lost my line there a little bit. But the reason why we're not taking this off yet, or taking this down further, for this next trick. So I'll show you that once we get it all set up. You're gonna have to forgive me for the shoddy camera work. I don't have a stand out here by this, but I wanted to show you the reason why we're leaving this tenon on is because I've made these little guys. So one with a continuous curve to fit the bottom of our speaker, and one with more of a V shape to go in the nook here of our tenon. The reason why we're doing this, obviously, if I run this guy through the bandsaw, which I've attempted to do and it turned out bad, and luckily I didn't get hurt, but I should have gotten hurt doing that. The bandsaw blade wants to grab it and throw it, and it gets nasty and ugly real fast. So to reference a flat surface, I've got the zero clearance board on here, so that way we're not having to worry about that metal disc that's underneath there that has a little bit of give to it, so sometimes that can cause a problem. And you set these up like so, and you put your cylindrical work in here. So now I've got a much more sturdy surface to proceed with my cut through the bandsaw. Okay, so now we're back at the lathe. We've got this to mount back on to our chuck still. Now we're going to get our nice sharp little chisel here, and we're just going to go in. Helps if we lock the spindle. And we're just going to start working away wood towards our cut, or towards the side that we're going to cut out, so it stays clean on the outside. And I'm pretty impatient, so I tend to use the mallet. Use a mallet at your own risk, because if you got it too thin, you're liable to destroy your whole piece doing this. But I go in straight because I want a flat edge there, so I go in straight on the edge, and then I angle back towards that line or that cut that I just made to take out wedges. So you can see I just took out a little wedge there. Now I've got this little wedge to play with, and I can just go back and take out another little wedge. We'll see how far we got to go before we reach the bottom. Damn good. Now we're going to part her off using a skew. Nope, I didn't just screw that up. Trying to be super lazy. Nah, we're good. Here. That'll do. Whoops. No foot or no marks at all from the chuck, because like I said, it's just barely in there to begin with. Ouch. Okay, so now, next part, the little feet. Gotta start with a tenon dummy. Just the tiniest of hairs holding that on. Beautiful. Demon rocker.